Hey everyone, Mitch coming in for the Commander Core Studio. Welcome to the show. Okay, so spoiler season moves on, and we've got yet another, oh my goodness, Leyline that I did not know I needed in my life until now, and I definitely need it in my life. Please be budget-friendly. Leyline of Mutation, an enchantment for 4 mana in green, but it is not in green color identity. If you look down a little bit, you'll see it. If this is in your opening hand, you begin the game with on the battlefield. Like the other Leylines, again, we are getting closer and closer and closer to all Leyline deck, and I cannot wait until that's actually a thing. I mean, years from now. Anyways, you may pay Wooburg rather than pay the mana cost for spells that you cast. Yes, please. My goodness. Automatic game starting Joda, Fist of Suns. Those are the 2 cards that do that. I love Joda. Joda's one of my very first commanders on this channel. I'm talking about the OG Joda, not the newer Joda, which is just chuck all the legendaries in a deck, and there you go. The OG Joda is that Fist of Suns type effect. Hey, you know what? Instead of spending, that 11 mana on that spell, whatever you're casting, just do 5. It's got to be one of each, but just 5. So yes, essentially, you get to freely cast that. Now, number 1, I would like to say, hey, Morophon decks out there. Literally any Morophon deck that has creatures in it, which I would assume you do. You're a Morophon deck. Yes, slam dunk in your deck right now. Again, yet another Fist of Suns Joda, essentially, that's like, oh yeah, cool, more free spells. Oh, and by the way, the game can start off with this just in play, and your opponents are like, oh my gosh, please, no. Please, no. Yes, this is going to be pretty crazy. But yeah, any kind of like a big spells type strategy, any kind of, well, it's got to be 5 color, any kind of a, well, Joda type strategy, I mean, in a Joda deck. If you've got Fist of Suns in the deck, this is already just like a, I'm not going to say a better version of that, but yeah, I mean, it definitely could be. Enchantments are harder to deal with in general than artifacts, and also freely getting this in play is absolutely amazing. So yeah, Leyline of Mutation, I love you. Please, please, please be budget friendly. Thank you so much. Moving on, Weary Watchdog. Oh, hi, what a cute puppy. 3/1 dog for 2 mana in green. When it enters or dies, surveil 1. So this is kind of like a play off of, oh, that elf that costs 2 that draws you 1 when it ETBs, essentially, which there's a lot of other plays off that, like Spirit of Companion, those kind of things too. But this one is going to be Surveil, which is not card advantage, but it is card selection, and in my opinion, better than, scrying card selection, because you can actually put in your graveyard, which can be useful, especially with green. Green does have ways to interact with the yard. So yeah, if you have any kind of a, well, even like an aristocrat style strategy, this could be beneficial because you get things in your graveyard. You might have some reanimation effects in there as well. But also, yeah, being able to get it out, being able to sacrifice, maybe get it back out, sacrifice again. A lot of great things can happen with this. Blink decks might want to consider this as well if you can really use and abuse that. But yeah, being able to get both ends of this, again, entering and dying, that's lovely to basically surveil to with this 1 card. Next up, Anthropede. That is some terrifying art. A 3/4 insect with reach for 4 mana in green. When this enters, you may discard a card and pay 2. When you do, destroy target room. Limited card. Moving on, grab the prize. That is terrifying. I will not grab the prize. Sorcery for 2 mana in red. Just cost cast a spell, discard a card, draw 2 cards. You discard a card. Wasn't a land card at 2 damage to each opponent. So we have seen kind of more and more iterations off of the discard 1, draw 2. We've gotten more of the instant speed ones lately, and now we have yet another one of these sorcery ones, like I think Tormenting Voice this basically is, but also with the additional benefit of, hey, ping each opponent too. That's not nothing. So yeah, I mean, if you have like a group slug type strategy, you're looking to dish out a bunch of damage, or a burn deck where you're trying to dish out a bunch of damage, maybe some damage doublers, damage triplers. Yeah, ways to gain life potentially off of instants and sorceries too. Consider this one. Yeah, I mean, or just if you already have those other cards, this is just strictly better than, again, I think it's Tormenting Voice is the sorcery speed 1. Anyways, moving on. Terrifying art, and yeah, scare your opponents with that. Next up, Final Vengeance. That is some really cool and terrifying art as well. All the art is terrifyingly cool. Sorcery for a single black mana. Just cast this spell, sacrifice creature or enchantment, exile target creature. So this is kind of like Bone Splinters. I can't remember. I think Bone Splinters, though, might be instant speed and only takes out or only sacrifice creatures, but and destroys. It's similar, okay? Same vein, all right? Give me a break. Do this on the fly. Anyways, this is the kind of card, though, where, yeah, in Limited, this is going to be amazing. In Commander, you kind of need a reason to include it because sorcery speed removal, I'm not going to say it's a no-go, but, yeah, you usually want your removal to be instant speed. It is nice that you are exiling the creature. This is like the Black Swords to Plowshares. In a way, it does cost you a creature or enchantment to do so, but, yeah, in many decks out there, yeah, you want to sacrifice things anyways. So, yeah, utilize your creature fodder, sacrifice things, aristocrat style strategy, get value out of this, and yeah, get rid of something permanently. Moving on. Tunnel Surveyor. A 2/2 human detective for 3 mana in blue. Enters, create a 1/1 white glimmer creature token, enchantment creature token. I mean, very specific decks that care about creatures being enchantments, enchant creature tokens. I could see potentially considering this, but other than that, there are a lot better ways to go wide in Commander. Moving on. Unsettling Twins. We knew this was going to be here at some point. I mean, they're not this. Oh, those are shadows. I was like, oh no, something's behind you. Wait, no, that's the shadow. Yeah, this is obviously a callback to The Shining. Come play with us, Danny. 2/2 human for 4 mana in white. Enters Manifest Dread. I mean, 2, bodies, 4 power across 2 bodies, essentially, right? Like, yeah, that's nice. And also like a Surveil-ish kind of in there, too. Need something in the graveyard. More of probably a, limited card for the most part. Moving on. Emerge from the Cocoon. A sorcerer 5 mana in white. Return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. You gain 3 life. Yeah, reanimation spells typically cost about 4, usually, like Zombify. The 3 life probably isn't worth that, extra 1 mana. For that, there's definitely better reanimation spells out there. More of a limited card, I would say. Though if you've got like reanimation and life gain in the same deck for whatever reason, cool! If not, yeah, probably skip this one. Unless you've got like every single reanimation spell in your deck. Moving on! I forgot to actually do one on Norin, Swift Survivalist. So we're going to be doing one right now. A quick take where I'm going to take you through, if I could talk, the cards that I think are going to work really well with this commander. This is one of those commanders I think is going to be pretty underrated. Can do some really cool things. A 2/1 human coward for a single red mana. Norin can't block. Whenever a creature control becomes blocked, you may exile it. You may play that card from exile this turn. So, yeah, it's a pretty interesting commander in that it is very unique. We don't have very many commanders out there that are just like 1 or fewer mana. And essentially, you can get out right away. It's got 2 power. Start swinging, start hitting. Yeah, you can do that. I mean, you really probably could, like, get a couple swings in before any opponent has any, like, actual blockers up, first of all. So you could just be like, oh, yeah, sure, I'll suit it up and take someone out pretty quickly. If you really want to go about that way, cool. But, yeah, the way that I would build around this would be more so take advantage of recasting things like this, like other creatures that I'll talk about here in a little bit as well, and getting triggers from casting them again and again and again. Now, you do need some ways to actually, and that's why I really like this commander, there's actually a lot of build around to it where you need to either make some deals with opponents, be like, hey, please block, I'll just exile them, so don't worry about, like, the damage. That's fine. It's not going to happen. Or you need to threaten opponents enough that they have to block, or at least present threats. So there's a lot of give and take with this commander. I really like that. There's some really cool things that you can do with it that you might not realize. So with all that said, let's jump into those cards. First up, Berserker's Onslaught. Now, what we want to be doing, again, is presenting a threat. And again, I mean, you can get a couple of hits in early with this commander. So even though the commander might not seem all that threatening, yeah, you can get a couple early hits in and potentially pump it up if you need to. And yeah, sure, go that route. And Double Strike can obviously help you hit even harder with it. That being said, this grants Double Strike on your attacking creatures, and that's for your entire team. Finally, budget friendly again. Thank you for reprinting this. Finally, Wizards. Anyways, giving your entire team Double Strike on attack. Again, we're going to want to be really aggressive with this commander. So be aggressive, swing, 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 swing. Force opponents to block. Again, there's going to be certain times where you can convince opponents to block. Other times you need to force that. And by presenting something like this, you can say like, okay, my army might be, pretty wide, pretty small for the most part, but at least it's going to be hitting twice as hard. And you also can really force the issue by keeping mana open and having things like Pack Attack. I mean, you need to keep mana open anyways because you have to recast those creatures or they're going to be permanently exiled essentially. But yeah, having cards like this, instant for 3 mana in red, attack creature gets plus X+0 until after turn where X is the number of flyers being attacked, draw a card. So being able to pump all of your creatures at instant speed and really threaten your opponents. Again, your opponents will be like, it's a bunch of like 2 power or 1 power creatures. I can let that damage come through. I won't block because I know you want to like recast your creatures for value or whatnot. And so you force that issue by holding up mana. I mean, at least having some cards in your hand, right? And then being like, okay, you sure you don't want to block? Then they'll decide eventually to potentially block because the danger of them not blocking can be quite large. Again, especially in combination with Double Strike with Berserker's Onslaught, plus something like this and other pump spells as well. Or you can just finish players off if they decide not to block and you do so. Next up, Flamekin Herald. This is one of the very first cards I thought about with this commander. Now, this one's a bit interesting in that, well, you need some play around with it. Commander spells you cast have Cascade. This is a commander that, again, just costs a single mana. So if you are cascading, you're revealing until you hit something that costs 0. And yeah, there's only a certain amount of cards out there that do cost 0 that you could just keep cheating out into play by casting your commander again and again and again. But this is the kind of commander, again, that you can keep casting a lot of times. And there are some really decent cards out there that do cost 0. So make sure you're considering those and adding them to the deck and getting a lot of free additional value every single time you cast your commander, whether it's from the command zone, but obviously casting it from the exile that it is being exiled to by itself being so scared. There you go. Next up, Skyfire Phoenix, a bit more straightforward. When you cast your commander, return from your graveyard to the battlefield a 3/3 flying and haste. So this is one that you can be aggressive with. And again, you actually don't need to recast this one. You can just let it die in combat. Sure, use it as a blocker, whatever you need to do. Again, flying, nice evasion there. Haste, aggressive, and the pump effects can really help you with that. That being said, when it is taken out, you very easily get it back out by recasting your commander again from that exile position. So make sure you're keeping that in mind. Next up, Bergi, God of Storytelling. Yeah, this got quite expensive now, but yeah, if you got the budget for it, if you already have it, great. $13 right now. 3/3 Legend Creature God for 3 mana in red. Whenever you cast a spell, add red until end of turn. You don't lose mana, steps, and phases end. And don't worry about the boast. Anyways, being able to essentially get a ritual effect every single time you cast a spell can be amazing and can be great, especially when you've got a commander like this that incentivizes you to, oh, okay, yeah, cool, I'll swing with my creatures. They get blocked. They're gone. I need to recast them. So by casting them one after the other, after the other, after the other, you can get a lot of value out of them. And again, basically churn from one to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next. So we can talk about other ways to do that, like, Runaway Steamkin. So again, if you've got multiple of these types of effects in play, you can actually even net mana when you are recasting your creatures. A 1/1 elemental for 2 mana in red. If you cast a red spell, if it has fewer than 3 counters on it, put a counter on it. Move 3 counters from it, add red, red, red. Again, you have a bunch of low-to-the-ground creatures in red. Cool. Get them out there, swing, be aggressive, give your opponents reasons to block them, essentially, or make deals, and then all of a sudden, replay them. Get whatever triggers you're going to be getting, again, from them. And yeah, again, even net mana, potentially, if you're set up properly. Hazoret's Monument can help with that as well. Ledger Artifact for 3. Red creature spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. Whenever you cast a creature spell, you may discard a card. If you do, draw a card. Reducing the cost of your creatures can be absolutely huge again, helping you even net mana in those circumstances with like running away Steamkin and that kind of thing as well. But being able to just set yourself up to cast creature after creature after creature, that can really help you out and give you a lot of big explosive plays. On top of that, it's got an amazing trigger as well. Whenever you cast a creature spell, you discard a card. If you do, draw a card. That is huge. Being able to rummage again and again and again just by recasting your creatures again and again and again can give you a lot of value. Next up, Voldaren Epicure, a 1/1 vampire for a single red mana. When it enters the battlefield, deals 1 damage to each opponent, create a blood token. Just an example of a very simple, low-to-the-ground creature that provides you value. It can provide you a lot of value throughout the game if you can keep recasting it again and again and again. That nice little ping effect on your opponents, that's great. But also, yeah, the blood token can give you additional card selection throughout the game, just building up some more blood tokens. That can really help you out. Direfleet Daredevil, yet another one. I mean, at the 2 mana spot, I was going to put Dockside, but yeah, obviously Dockside's very good, very expensive. Anyways, 2/1 Human Pirate First Strike for 2 mana in red. Enters the battlefield, exile target instant source card from your opponent's graveyard. You may cast this turn, and then mana of any type can be set to cast, basically exiled if it's gone. So yeah, this is the type of card that, you know what, let's just get some extra value out again and again and again, because basically you are getting this out, you're swinging with it, it's going to be blocked. You do it again and again and again, and you keep getting extra value out of your opponent's cards out of their graveyard, basically giving them flashback for you. So again, low to the ground creatures that you can use and abuse ETBs of, that can definitely be a tactic for this commander. Or just attack triggers, because, yeah, you get the attack trigger and there's like no chance that they're going to take it on in combat. Or very little, I guess I should say. Impact Tremors, yeah, this kind of a card. War Storm Surge, cards like it can be very, very good. Enchantment for 2 mana in red. Whenever a creature enters battlefield you control, 1 damage each opponent. Again, if you're getting those creatures, if you're forcing those blocks and you're saying, you know what, you gotta block or you're getting taken out in this way, but even if you do block, I'm gonna replay my creatures, get all that value from whatever ETBs, including this ETB, pinging all of my opponents down. You can also take advantage of the number of cards that you're casting in each turn as well. Elemental Eruption, sorcerer for 6 mana in total. Create a 4/4 red dragon, elemental creature with flying and prowess and storm. So yeah, basically again, you get your things out. You get yourself set up. You attack. Your opponent's block. You get all those creatures exiled. You recast them all for value. Again, with that Runaway Steamkin type effect too, getting you extra ritual, extra mana. Utilize that to then just cast something amazing and be like, okay, yeah, my storm count is huge. I recast this and I've got a giant army of dragons. And if you don't take them out, then you are going to get taken out as well. Other storm cards obviously can be considered too. But yeah, there's a lot of different avenues that you can take with this commander. And with that, this episode is coming to a close. Comment below with your thoughts on it. And of course, as always, thanks again and have a good one. This show and episodes like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. If you're looking for an easy way to help support this show, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any new episodes. You can also go check out our playmats and other merchandise at thecommandersquarters.com. We also have a ton of brand new t-shirt designs in stock, so make sure you check out those as well. Another easy way to support this show is with our TCG Player affiliate links. So whether you're buying a deck or individual cards, you can use this general link right here or one in the description. And the final way that you can support this show is by supporting us directly by becoming a patron. There are many benefits to being a patron, and I truly couldn't do this without all of their support.